This video has been a long time coming. I don't love my home anymore, but spoiler alert, it wasn't. Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, then hi, welcome. My name's Nikitta and I post videos based on lifestyle, fashion and motherhood and home, apparently. So as you can probably tell by the title of today's video, I'm going to be talking about our renovation. This video has been a long time coming, and we renovated our house about 3.5 years. Close horse fell over in the back garden. We renovated our house about 3.5 years ago now. Well, we moved back in about 3.5 years ago, and I've wanted to do this video for so long, but I just haven't been in the right place for it. I feel extremely traumatized by the entire thing. And now I'm in a position where I don't love my home anymore. I just sort of tolerate it. And what I'm doing is I am pulling together a new series of Love It or Leave It. And essentially what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to breathe a new love into my house. I'm going through every single room one at a time and just giving it an update and just making it feel that's a little bit more special again. And I thought I'd take you along for the journey. So this is the first video in, I think it's an 8 or 9 part series. I'm not quite sure what the scheduling is going to be for it, so to make sure that you don't miss any of it, then please hit the like button, subscribe and hit the bell notification so that you are notified every single time that I upload a video. But without further ado, and me rambling on for God knows how long, let's get into the video. So where it all started. Back in 2021, we found out that we were pregnant with our second baby, which is now our son, Max. And we loved our house. We had a really lovely house. We'd got lots of land with it, but we just didn't feel like the internal space of the house, we had enough room for 2 adults, 2 children, a dog. It just wasn't right for us. The way that our house was laid out at the time, we'd got 2 really big bedrooms and then a really small box room, which was the nursery. And as Max grew up, we knew, obviously we didn't know it was going to be a Max at the time, we didn't know, but we knew that the box room wouldn't fit a single bed, a wardrobe, some drawers, everything that they'd need growing up. We knew that at some point we'd have to make a decision on whether or not we were going to stay. So rather than waiting until baby was born, we decided to start looking at houses in the same area and just looking at what we could get. We knew what our budget was and we started viewing houses. We were on Rightmove every single night, just looking at what we could find within budget that was in the right location, close to schools, close to family, easy enough for us both to get to work, and just went from there really. We viewed quite a lot of houses, and while all of the houses were beautiful, we loved them all, they just didn't meet our needs. The insides of the house were perfect, the rooms were perfect, bathrooms, everything that we needed and everything that we wanted was perfect. But the downside to the majority of them was that there was pretty much no back garden, which wasn't ideal for us because we wanted a nice big open space outside for the kids to be able to go out and play, just have fun in the sun, get paddling pools out, just be able to play football when they're older, do cartwheels, just all the stuff that you enjoy doing as a kid. And these houses that we were looking at, they just didn't offer that. We'd got incredible neighbours, we'd got a really lovely road that we live on, and we just didn't want to sacrifice everything that we currently had in terms of neighbours, parking, the community that we've got here, the outdoor space. We didn't want to sacrifice all of that just for a bigger house. So we looked at the budget and then we started talking about extending. And we very quickly decided that that's what we were going to do because we'd got such a big back garden. We were extremely fortunate in the fact that we'd got a really big back garden, and that extending wouldn't take much away from it. We'd still have a really good sized garden for the kids to play in. So that's where we started our journey. So we felt like it was the smart choice to extend. It would be cheaper, it would be easier. But spoiler alert, it wasn't. it wasn't at all. So we reached out to a friend of ours whose husband was an architect, and he came around, did all of the measurements and pulled together some drawings for how we could extend the house. And we then submitted that to our local council for planning permission, and then it was time to look for a builder. So we spoke to several builders. They all came out and did an assessment of the property that we'd got, the garden, where we wanted to extend to, what we wanted, looked at the plans, all of that stuff. And all of the builders that we had out all came in within a pretty similar budget. My back door's open and there's some flies that have come in the house. That's going to drive me absolutely insane. They all came in around the same budget. And the only thing that it came down to was time, because we were in a bit of a time crunch, because we were expecting Max in the sort of mid to end of August. He didn't actually end up coming until September, but so we were expecting him sort of mid to late August. So we wanted to get things done really, really quickly, because we wanted to utilise the time that I was on maternity leave as well to be able to do a bit of project management alongside being on maternity leave, being a mum again, being a mum to a newborn again, should I say. So we went with the builder that could do it the soonest. Big mistake. That was a huge mistake. But at the time, we didn't know anything and we just went with it. We were like, right, he's given us pretty much the same price. He's talked us through everything. He's given us a lot of confidence in what he can do. We went out and looked at some other properties that he'd extended. We were really happy. We got really good feedback from his other customers. Everything seemed perfect and it was all sort of falling into line. But we should have known it was too good to be true. So we agreed a start date of the 21st of September. So I was 3 weeks postpartum when everything started. I was living in my sloth era. I was literally walking around in pajamas constantly, breastfeeding Max, trying to get Millie to nursery. House was upside down. It was pure chaos, but the build was starting. We were digging out the trenches for the foundations. That was all laid, and then very, very quickly the bricks started being laid and we were so excited. It was amazing. We couldn't believe how fast everything was happening and we were so happy with the progress that was being made. And then within a couple of weeks, we'd got 2 stories. We'd got the stud work going up to separate the different rooms within the extension. We'd started going out and getting plans for kitchens, bathrooms. I was spending so much time in B&Q and in bathroom stores and kitchen stores, just looking at what I wanted and getting designs drawn up and looking at colour palettes, and I loved it. It was amazing. It was such a productive use of my time and I loved doing all of that with Max and Millie in tow and just having this cute little baby and just being so excited for what the future was going to bring with our home. Everything was going so well until it wasn't. The builder that we had told us that we needed to be out of the property by Monday the 9th of November 2021, and so the weekend prior, so the 7th and the 8th, we spent that entire weekend. We dropped the kids off at his parents. We spent the entire weekend ripping out the kitchen, taking out any doors that needed to be removed for the knock through. So the house was a complete shell. It was totally unlivable, and I will insert some footage in this video of what was going on. And we were really excited. We'd moved into Ross's parents at this point, and so we'd got 4 adults, 2 babies, and then our dog and their dog all living under one roof. It was pure chaos. It was a bungalow as well, a 3-bedroom bungalow, so it was tight and it was stressful and it was just pure chaos. It was so difficult just because of so many people having so many conflicting priorities and routines, and it was just hard. It was really, really hard. And while I'm grateful that they gave us that opportunity to go and stay with them rather than renting a property out, it really helped us, but it was really, really hard. So we get to the 9th of November. Ross has gone to work, I've sorted the kids out, taken Millie to nursery, and then I've got Max in the car. I drive up to the house to see what's going on, just to see how things are going. and nobody was here. And our builder had always started at sort of 8, half 8 in the morning, and this is like 9:30, and no one was here. And I was starting to panic, and I was psycho calling and psycho texting the builder, like, where are you, what's going on? Didn't hear anything back. And then a couple of days later, he got in touch and he was like, look, I'm really sorry, we're not going to be doing the knock through because the steels aren't in. So we sort of sat back and we were like, have we missed something? Like, being completely new to all of this and knowing nothing about building, have we missed something? And we reviewed the contract that we signed, and it was right there in black and white that whilst the material, so the steel for the sway frame that was put in the original plans from the architect and the structural engineer to ensure that we could have a full knock through, the work for that was in the plan and it was in the contract, but the price of the steels wasn't. We were going to pay for that once the builder had got the quote for them. Absolutely fine. What we didn't know at the time, and something that we've learned, is that that structural steel should have gone in when the foundations were going in, which meant that we would have, because of where we were having the extension, we would have actually needed to move out once the foundations were laid in order to get that structural steel in where it was supposed to be. We didn't know that. We expected the builder to provide us with that sort of information, and he just didn't. He didn't tell us anything like that. He was like, no, you can stay in the house right up until we do the knock through, which will be at the end of the external shell build. So obviously we went back to him. I was very hormonal, I was very angry, I was very upset and very stressed, and I said, look, this is the contract, this was the agreement, you were putting the steels in, we were just paying you for the steel, and then once, like, you were going to do the knock through. And he was like, yeah, I'm really sorry, what's going to have to happen is we're going to have to dig out the foundations that we laid, and we're going to have to put the steels in after the fact, and then re-cement those steels into the foundation again. It's going to cost you an extra 10 grand. And we felt so sick. And if I'm being completely honest, we felt like we'd been set up. We felt like the builder had basically just said, do you know what? I want some extra money out of this. If they get everything out, if it's a shell and the house is completely unlivable, they're going to have to pay it. But we were adamant that we weren't. Like, we'd lost all faith, all trust in this builder's ability throughout the entire process. There were several things that happened during the build that we were really unhappy about. So I'll pop a picture here. And we'd gone out onto the back garden just to review the progress. And the window in the middle of the house, which was going to be our bathroom window, it wasn't central, it was just off, and it was smaller than the other windows. And we were looking at it and we were like, oh my god, that something's not right there, that doesn't look right. And then the penny dropped, and we're like, the window's not central and it doesn't match the size of the other windows in the back. So we got in touch with him and we're like, this is wrong. The plans that we sent you, all the windows were identical sizes, and it was a very even space. So there were 3 windows, evenly spaced, it was very symmetrical, it was perfect. And that's not what this looks like. Sent him a picture of that, sent him a picture of the plans that we'd already given him. And he was like, oh, I'm really sorry, I can't do anything about that now because it's already built. And we were like, no, you need to fix that. That's not good. Like, that's not what we want. Like, we're really unhappy and we're not going to pay you any more money moving forward until you fix it. So he came out and he fixed it. What we didn't know was, yes, he fixed the external walls, but he didn't fix the internal part of it. So if you don't know, when you're building a house, you have the internal breeze blocks and then you have the brickwork on the outside and you have the insulation in the middle. So he fixed the brickwork on the outside, but the breeze blocks were still in perfect place, like where they'd been put before. So on the inside, our window on the inside is slightly off and the frame doesn't fit in very well, and on the outside it fits in as it should. But that wasn't the end of it. So as part of the contract, the builder had said that he would put in the waste pipes from both bathrooms. Absolutely brilliant, perfect, thank you. So that was all part of the price. And what we found was on this side of the house where this wall is here, because our ensuite is just above us, the waste pipe from the toilet comes down. But what he'd not done, and I'll insert a clip over the top of this. What he'd not done was dug the trenches deep enough for the waste pipe. So our waste pipe actually now sits above ground and sort of goes down on a slant round to the manhole that's on the back garden next to the bifold doors. And then on the back garden, where the waste pipe from the new bathroom was coming out, that wasn't deep enough either. So our toilet pipe now, it goes straight down onto an angle like that. So you can imagine this is absolutely disgusting and TMI. But so you've got a pipe that goes down that connects into a pipe like that, and it's on a real sort of like angle rather than going down and sort of going like that, which would make it a much smoother process. When you go to the toilet for number two, for example, like that's the kids' bathroom. So when they go to the toilet for number two, they flush the toilet, the water's going down, it's hitting the base, going back up and hitting at the top of the manhole cover, and then trying to push down, which causes blockages constantly. And it's horrendous. Like, we have to go outside every single month and we have to get a pressure washer and we have to clean all of the feces. I don't want to say the S word, even though I'm really, really angry about it. I don't want to say that, but we have to clean all of the feces once a month off this bloody manhole cover, and it's horrible. Like, the state that he left it in is just, it's unbearable. It's awful, and I dread to think what, if we ever sold this house, I dread to think what the new owners would think of us. And because now that the work's done, without ripping up the entire back garden, we can't fix that. And realistically, financially, that's not something that we can afford to fix at the minute. Like, we spent a hell of a lot of money on our garden to get that done at the end of the build, and obviously we didn't know the issues that it would cause having the pipes like that until after we'd done the garden. But anyway, I've completely digressed there, but that's just some of the issues that we found. When it came to the builder wanting this additional money to dig out the foundations to then put the steel in to enable him to do the knock through, we just lost all faith in him. We were so angry and we just didn't want to work with him anymore, and we just said, you know what, no, don't bother coming back. We were in a really, we'd put a lot of trust into this man and his team, and we'd paid quite a substantial amount up front up until this point to get the work done, and the remaining cash that was left in the job was actually for things like the bifold. So they were still part of that contract, but we were just paying that at the end of the contract once the job was finished. So it was materials that he was saying that he wasn't liable for, because there were things that were going to be in the house that needed paying for, and we ended up footing the bill for that as well. So we actually ended up paying this man all of the money, and we got nothing from it. We just got absolute hell from it. So middle of November, we started frantically searching for another builder, and we did find one. We were recommended lots of people, but the company we decided to go with was a company that hadn't even quoted us in the original request for a builder. It was a company called Brickies, and I will leave all of their information down below if you are a Sheffield or South Yorkshire based person that wants a good builder. Brickies literally saved the day for us. So Brickies came in, they looked at the work, they were horrified at how bad things were. And again, I will put some clips of the exterior of the house as it stands now for the things that are still in a bit of a mess, if I'm completely honest, and we just don't know how to fix them. If there are any builders out there that can tell us how to fix it, then please comment below and tell us, because it's terrible. So as you can see here, the joining of the old house and the extension, it wasn't actually, I think it's called too thin. I want to say it's too thin, I'm not sure. Again, I'm not a builder. but as you can see, that's not happened here. It is literally just a line of cement or mortar, if you like, that it goes straight up from the bottom to the top of the house, and it looks awful. Obviously, we've got the waste pipe here that isn't great. I'm going to take you around to the back of the house now, and you can see the really shoddy brickwork, and you can actually still see where the brickwork was moved for the bathroom window. It's just horrible. It is just awful. And then if I go to the other side of the house, you can see where it was botched up again, and it's just been a nightmare process. And Brickies were absolutely horrified at the state that the house had been left in, and the works that were incomplete, and that the workmanship was so low quality, and they were like, this man should not be trading, he should not be working on people's houses, he clearly doesn't have the care, he clearly should not be working on houses, he doesn't have the care, he doesn't have the expertise to be able to do this, it's done. But this was a really bad decision, and that was, our eyes were really opened at that point. So Brickies gave us a quote. It came in at half the price of what our builder wanted to charge, which did sort of send alarm bells ringing. But at this point, we were just so desperate just to get home. Honestly, we would have paid anything, but Brickies had come with some seriously good recommendations from friends, and also people that we didn't know. So I would always trust my friends to give me good recommendations, especially ones that are in sort of like the building trade, not maybe not especially builders, but they're in that trade, they're in that industry, and they know these people, they know the quality of work that they can deliver. So they came in at half the price and half the time as well. So our builder had said it's going to take him 2 weeks to do it, and it's going to cost £10,000, whereas Brickies said it will take us a week to do it, it will cost you £5,000. And we were like, right, okay, let's just do it. So we got the steels ordered because we had the contacts for that, got everything measured up again by the structural engineer just to be on the safe side, to make sure that nothing was wrong. Got the steels ordered, got them delivered, and they ended up being sat on our front garden for about a month and a half until Brickies could come in, because they couldn't come in until the 27th of January, which just set us back by 3 months. We were so upset, so stressed, and we didn't know what else to do. So by setting us back by 3 months, that meant that we ended up living with Ross's parents for an additional 3 months, which again was very, very, it put so much strain on mine and Ross's relationship. It put so much strain on the relationship with his parents. Mentally, it was draining. I was going through what I understand now is postpartum depression, and I was just in a really bad place, and everything was so much harder. The fact that we weren't at home and we couldn't live in our own space and in our own peace. So it was really, really hard. But 27th of January came, Brickies turned up bright and early. They brought an entire team of people to lift these steels, get them into the back garden so that they could put them onto, I think they were called genie lifts, got it in the house, put acros, so they put acros in, I think they're called acros. Basically, they supported the structure of the house while they were putting the steels in. So they did the knock through with the acros in, dug out the old foundation, put the steels in, got the top steel onto a genie lift, put it into place, got everything secure. They were amazing, and they turned it around in 3 days. They did such an amazing job. We were so happy. They were so lovely. I believe the owner of Brickies is called Liam, and he was just so wonderful. Like, we were so grateful for the help that he gave us and how quickly he turned things around. So, and I will be forever grateful to him and his team for what they did for us. Once the knock through had taken place and the steels were in, we were then in a position to actually start doing all of the internal work for the house. So we'd already got some of the cabling done for the electrics, because we ended up having a full rewire because of how old some of the electrics were in the house, and we had to repipe all of the plumbing as well, because obviously we'd moved the bathroom from one place to another, we'd included another bathroom, we'd included a downstairs toilet, had a new boiler fitted, we moved the boiler from where it was previously located into what is now the utility area. Sorry, my stomach's growling, I don't know if you heard that, I'm really sorry if you did. So there was a lot of work to be done, and a lot of that had been done while we were waiting for the knock through to happen. But things like plastering and decorating, getting the floors leveled, getting new flooring in, and getting the kitchens in, getting the bathrooms in, none of that could happen until the knock through had happened. We couldn't put new kitchens and bathrooms in until all the plasterboard was up, it had all been plastered. So we could finally make a start on that after sort of like the 30th of January, and it was full steam ahead. We spent every waking minute in this house doing whatever we could. We even roped Millie in for a few points. I think I've got some videos on my phone of Millie as sort of like a little 2.5-year-old, possibly even 3, like painting the walls, getting a little roller. She's got her wellies on so she didn't get paint on her shoes, and she's rolling away and trying really hard and trying to clean up with a dustpan and brush. It was adorable. And she still refers to the builders now as those really naughty builders that broke our house. Kids don't forget. They're like elephants. They literally suck up everything. All of the information that you give them, they just suck it up, and they're just fascinating. But that's not why we're here. So we spent every waking minute that we had sorting this house out and getting it to a livable standard so that we could come home and start trying to build the relationships. And essentially what we did is we set a goal of when I was going back to work from maternity leave to have it in a livable state so that we could come home and we could start over, and we could start working on our mental health, working on our physical health, building the relationship back up between us, but also building the relationship back up between us and his parents, because as you can imagine, that was very stressful on everybody, and it really did sort of break a lot of the communication down that we had, and it was a really tough time. But we're past that. We're back in a really good place. Everybody's really happy, and that's that. So because the job was so rushed, there were certain elements of the house that we didn't actually finish. So we've got the utility area, which isn't finished. We wanted to box in the boiler, the fuse board. We've got some pipe work underneath the boiler that goes behind the back of the washing machine that we want to hide. The bathroom was never really finished. It's been plastered. It's got a sink in there. It's not even got tiles in there. I ended up getting stick-on tiles for behind the toilet because we were just in so much of a rush and we just wanted it to look semi-presentable. So that's still like that. There are just so many little things in the house that we just didn't finish off the way that we wanted them to, and they've not been done professionally. It's all been a DIY bodge rush job. And now we're in a position which has sort of led me to create this series of learning to love our home again and trying to breathe a new lease of life and a new love for our home so we don't have to move. And I've got so many big dreams and plans for what I want to do within the house, and that's why I'm taking you along with me. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the bell notification so you're notified every single time that I upload. But until my next video, I'll see you soon. Bye. Don't think you're safe and sound walking around breaking